Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. And welcome not only to my state of Texas, but to my city of San Antonio. And actually, if you stand out in front of the hotel, you may be able to see my house. So I'm that close to this area. And so as a true Tejana, Latina, mi casa es su casa. So you're all invited to barbecue at my house. If you'll get a pencil and paper, write down this phone number for instructions. It's 1-800, just kidding. So I am from this community. I work alongside this community, and I learn from this community. As a Latina, I have been raised and taught by so many people, and I've come to learn even more. So as we began our project of the Latino Best Start, I furiously wrote a curriculum. It took me 4 months to write this curriculum, because I knew what my community wanted. I come from it, right? And then, as a true researcher, decided, I think I'll go run some focus groups. So we ran 26 focus groups. Everything that I had assumed was wrong, was 100% wrong. So guess what I had to do? I had to scrap it and start all over. So I started all over with some partners who are just amazing, incredible individuals that are trusted, respected, and have relationships in their community. These are both nonprofits and faith groups that are from Los Angeles, from Phoenix, San Antonio, Waukegan, Colombia, Homestead in Florida, and in Puerto Rico, nena. They are those who really make life come to life. And so we set out to do these focus groups, and we learned quite a bit. First is that our community partners were serving both newly arrived immigrants and second and third generation. They knew about breastfeeding. They knew the benefits. They knew benefits to their children. They knew about breastfeeding. As a matter of fact, it was a common practice for our Latino community. It was very common. I interviewed a 15-year-old boy, a teddy bear, who was about 240 pounds, short of 6'5", and he said to me, "I can't wait to get married and have a baby so my wife can breastfeed." 15 years old. And I said, "Why, mijo?" He says, "My abuelita did it, my tias did it, my mothers have done it. It's what we do. It's what we do." We also found out, however, the longer we're in this country, the less likely we are to breastfeed. Our community told us they started to assimilate and acculturate to some of the practices that were happening in their communities and around them. We also asked them to identify themselves culturally speaking. And they said, "Oh, we're family. We do everything together. We eat together, we shop together, we fight together. We're very connected." Hofstede, a very famous researcher who has done the work on the dimensions of culture, talks about this theory of collective culture. This idea of being collective in a culture means that you are so connected with each other, that you are loyal to this community, that you are so tightly knit it's hard to remove yourself. You're like, "Go away already." So tight knit that blood is not required to be familia. So in the focus groups, I had one mom who said, "Oh yeah, that's my comadre, that's my best friend." I said, "You all know each other?" And she says, "Yeah, she's from la calle 9 de Nueva Rosita, Coahuila, Mexico. She's from 9th Street in the city of Nueva Rosita in Mexico." That's what tied her, the street. And when she found out that this woman down the street had had a baby at the same time she had and could not breastfeed, you know what she did? She breastfed that baby for her. She shared her resources with her and breastfed that baby. And this is a family in Arizona. This is how much collective bargaining community there is in the Latino community. I remember growing up, my mother would send me out to get a gallon of milk. I'd get in the car, and all of a sudden, there's 42 other people in the car with me. And on the way to go get our milk, we would have a fight, and we'd be punching at each other and screaming at each other. We'd get our milk. On the way back, we would make up and be kissing and playing and singing. That's what a collective community looks like. And for us, in doing our work in breastfeeding, it was something that we had to have at the core of our model. So in our focus groups, we also found some obstacles and learned of some obstacles, some very serious and painful obstacles. There was much reported on racism and discrimination. Many moms would tell us, I don't even want to go to that hospital. The last time I was there, I heard them whisper about me. Oh, she's a poor Mexican. She's going to go get free milk. Don't spend your time with her. Don't leave this little baby here with her. She doesn't know what she's doing. And over, there was a fear of what I looked like and who I was prevented health, equity, and services for me. And there's a dicho in Spanish that we say, nadie me lo contó. It means no one told me this story, because oftentimes when a story gets told, it gets watered down and changed. I know this experience firsthand. You see, 18 months ago, my father had a stroke at the same hospital that this mom talked about. Because we too are collective, we were all in his room. It was grandchildren and in-laws and children and neighbors and compadres, and we were sitting on the ground in this room waiting for the doctor to come and tell us what was going on with my dad. This doctor walks in, not Latino, not even from Texas, not even from the barrio, and stands over my dad and takes a glance at all of us on the floor and says, "You guys are like mold. You spread everywhere." And at the moment, I'm standing there frightened because the love of my life, my father, is on the verge. And he turns around once again and looks. No, you're like cockroaches. You come out of the woodwork. And at that moment, I say, do I stand up or do I just stand by my dad's side? We shouldn't have to make those concessions. No one should have to make those concessions. Not a mother who wants to hold their baby in their room. Not a mother that wants to breastfeed their child that has to stand up and yell to ask for that. There is no reason why that should happen. Our mothers talked about the lack of support that comes from their employers, that if they finally decided and got good at breastfeeding, they had to go to work 3 weeks later. And they had to sit on a toilet in a stall and pump their milk. How humiliating that is for a woman to do her sacred job. And they all reported there was no support from this community. There was individuals who would go to restaurants and try to breastfeed, and finding out very quickly they were asked to leave. So what we do know is that our model, the Latino Best Start, has to incorporate the things that are not being given to us. If we're not going to find that support out where we are, we're going to do it ourselves. So our partners are building and creating leaders that will be the advocates, the peer counselors, the support mechanisms that are failing us in our community. And we need to partner with those institutions that don't have Spanish-speaking peer counselors, because we're preparing them. You see, there is a very special place in our families for this dance of breastfeeding. It's very communal, it's very connected, and it's very integrated.